Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update this channel daily. If you like this watch, you can see it and purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today, we are discussing the Omega Speedmaster Racing Master Chronometer. If you're familiar with the Omega racing dials, you know that more often than not, they're a combination of orange, yellow, and red highlights. This one perhaps a little bit more traditional in that it evokes actual racing checkered flags of black and white. Also perhaps the more versatile watch, as it doesn't feature the polarizing color scheme that traditionally accompanies the Omega racing dial design. In fact, at a glance, this could be the Moon Watch. Now, we're not looking at it at a glance, we're looking at it carefully, scrutinizing every detail of this 44.25 millimeter watch on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, so you can get an idea of the fit. I would actually say across the wrist, it's a fairly compact watch at only 49.7 millimeters. I always say 50 millimeters or fewer for a smaller male wrist between 14 and 16.5 centimeters, and this watch makes that. I'm also surprised by the thinness, not the thickness, the thinness. These Omega tri-level coaxial chronographs tend to be chunky, and this one's only 15.3, which is about 2 millimeters thinner than I expected it to be at minimum, so a pleasant surprise there. The spacing between the lugs, 21 millimeters. Omega is smart to give it a broader spacing between the lugs than the original Moon Watch. A broad lug spacing is one of the hallmarks of modern watch design, so this one gets the style traditionally inspired, but the actual proportioning right in a modern sense. Jump into the strap. It is anthracite, medium rectangular scale alligator leather, a lightly contrasting gray stitch, thinly bolstered as it approaches the lugs, but only at the lugs, and then a folded edge, calfskin on the underside, an Omega double finished deployant clasp. You can see both satin and polish externally, twin trigger action, so it can't pop open accidentally. I always prefer the security and quality of a twin trigger clasp. There's a minderless system internally, so you can actually take the strap, and once you size it down, all the excess length tucks underneath, so there are no minder loops, there's no excess length flapping in the breeze. It's a clean system, one we've come to take for granted from Omega because it fits this clasp to so many models, but it's a brilliant design and adds a lot of value compared to many other price and market equivalent brands. The case is straight up Moon Watch. You can see the shear guards, not true crown guards, but recessions and shear guards for the crown and pushers. The case band is familiar, narrow satin finished vertical flank, longitudinally brushed with a flaring polished bevel at all four corners. The cantilevered polished tachymeter scale that we've come to know from the standard Moon Watch. But that's the only part of this tack that's standard. As you can see, the higher grade Speedmaster Racing features a ceramic insert rather than the anodized aluminum of the standard Moon Watch. So you can time something moving very quickly between two fixed points, such as the start and finish of a standing mile or kilometer. And then there is a box section cambered sapphire on top, another upgrade over the Moon Watch, which uses Hesselite thermoplastic. This one uses a sapphire for scratch resistance. The dial is, I would say, 6/10 in terms of visual loudness and expression of the traditional racing dial. But the traditional racing dial is all kinds of orange and red and yellow, and while some might like the design, they don't love the color palette. Here, Omega meets you in the middle with the checkered flag motif that makes it easier to read the hash marks of the chronograph, the fractions of a second, but then you also have the applique hour indices, you have the registers at center, you have white on black printing on the matte dial. Everything is the same two-tone, that is literally black and white color scheme. Twin registers in vintage fashion, but a mono counter at 3 o'clock, so you have your hours and minutes in a single register. They're dished so they add another focal plane to the dial. Balanced down at 6 o'clock, the date window. There's a handsome bilateral symmetry about this design, and it features a number of thoughtful evolutions, as this is the caliber 9900. Which succeeds the old 9300 calibers. This is the master chronometer version of the 9300. You have that time zone function, so you can move the hour hand independently as you travel, even jumping either direction across the international date line, driving the date forward or backward without hazard. Vertical clutch, so you have the ability to start the chronograph without jump, stop it without stagger, and, thanks to the vertical clutch, leave it running if you just prefer to have seconds at center. Ignore the rest of the chronograph displays, just leave it running. You can have hours, minutes, and seconds at center with no hazard to the movement. Of course, to pull the crown out, there is a stop seconds or hacking function. Turn the watch over, and you can see that the timepiece features a broad bubble-shaped sapphire display caseback over the METAS certified chronometer 9900. So what is METAS? It is a 8-test 6-position chronometry, water resistance, anti-magnetism, power reserve, and winding efficiency test for your watch. So the COSC is a test of a bare movement in 5 positions. METAS, in addition to a bunch of other tests, tests the watch as a fully cased up product in 6 positions. So it's the COSC and then some. 60-hour power reserve, twin mainspring barrels for a very even release of torque to the escapement for the full power reserve. And you can see those 2 barrels poking out from under their barrel bridge. You have the stop seconds function I demonstrated, the time zone function I demonstrated. You also have a column wheel function selector visible through these skeletonized bridges. The vertical clutch makes the system smooth. The column wheel makes it crisp to actuate. It's a hallmark of a high-quality traditional chronograph architecture. SI14 silicon hairspring, effectively amagnetic, 1.5 Tesla, over 15,000 Gauss, not minimum, over 15,000 Gauss. Beats away at 25.2, that's its beat rate. Free spun with a full balance bridge for shock resistance, and this one 50 meters water resistant. See it and make it yours on the Watchbox. Speedmaster Racing.